So hi, my name is Paul Mercer with the Mercer Group here at Keller Williams Tampa Properties, and we have some Q&A going on today. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So what is the question?
So the question is it a good time to buy right now in Tampa?
Well, I would say yes, it is always a good time to buy. They say the best time to buy is 20 years ago, the second best time today. So what we're seeing is a pretty stable market with slight appreciation. And as rates drop, the inventory will start to shrink and prices will start to go up.
Oh wow. Well, what are interest rates doing right now? How does
Well,
that affect me?
interest rates are still a little bit higher than they have been in past years, but they are stabilizing. And with what's going on with the Federal Reserve and the change in positions there, I believe the industry thinks that rates will start to recede slightly. They're not going to see a massive rate drop. However, what that will do is, as rates drop, the affordability becomes better for a lot of people, so you start to attract more buyers into the market, and that affects supply and demand. And supply and demand, if supply is shrinking, demand is increasing, prices are going to go up. So that's why it's a better time to buy now, even at today's rates, and then refinance later on.
Okay, that makes sense. So are home prices in Tampa expected to go up or down?
Well, over the long term, I always believe they're going to go up based on the 40-year historical average. Average appreciation is somewhere between 3 and 4%. In really hot markets, it's going to be more than that. In slower markets, it's going to be less. We have been appreciating over the last few years. It hasn't been at that 3%, it's been less. I think last year was around 1.2%, but prices are still going up.
I think you already answered this, but basically you're saying I'm better off buying now before and rather than waiting for the market to shift.
I would agree with that. If you're ready to buy, I think that now is a good time. If you're not ready, if you have some credit things you need to work through, or if you have some debt consolidation, are waiting for a gift from a family member, or just have a few things to work out, then yeah, maybe you do need to wait. But I've found that trying to time the market is almost impossible, because you never know when the bottom of the market is, because by very definition, you've missed it because now it's going up. It's like trying to time the top of the market to sell. You don't know until the market starts receding.
Gosh, it sounds like you have a lot of experience. How long have you been in the industry?
Yeah, this is actually my 23rd year being licensed in the Tampa Bay area. So it's been a lot of fun. It was never my intention to stay as long as I have, but it is a fascinating business. It's constantly changing. So, and the great thing is you get to help people accomplish their goal and their dreams of home ownership.
Awesome. How do I know if I'm financially ready to buy?
Well, what our process is, we will put you with one of our preferred lenders and allow them to walk you through, your credit, your purchasing power, all that kind of stuff. And I never necessarily recommend that you exercise all your purchasing power. You don't want to be house poor. At the same time, you want to be comfortable. But why not build equity in something instead of paying 100% interest on your rent? Because at the end of the year, you had nothing left after you paid your rent. There is no equity position. There is no paying down the debt or anything like that. It's just rent out the window. So for most people, not everybody, but for most people, home ownership is a logical next step, and it is the first ladder on building wealth.
Okay. So what's the biggest mistake that buyers are making right now that you're seeing?
Really, I think most buyers are trying to time the market. If they really are buyers, if they are really ready to buy, they're looking for the perfect deal. And I think we trip over a lot of good deals we miss a lot of good deals by trying to get to the perfect deal. And the perfect deal may never actually materialize. We help our buyers walk through a list of nice to haves and have to haves. And if we can meet most of that list, I used to joke around and say that you'll never get everything you want unless you build a house. And what I've found from building a couple of houses is that you still don't get everything you want, because you're like, I would have done this differently. I would have done that differently.
Yeah.
But it's always a learning curve. I always like, the buyers that we get to work with, and they're like, this is our dream house and it's our last home. And I always joke that it's the last home until the next one, because life changes. People downsize. Their families expanding. They're upsizing, or the kids are going to college. They're downsizing, or it's their retirement home. So there's always that opportunity if you do a good job to work with people multiple times in their lifetime.
Yeah. So are sellers still negotiating, or is it competitive?
So that's really I'd say in general in the market, yes, sellers are negotiable. We're seeing more concessions in the sellers are helping with closing costs and negotiating on price. However, with the homes that are well priced and in good condition, those are still selling very, very quickly, and a lot of times in a multiple offer situation, which may in a competitive situation is driving the price up. So we are seeing that come back in the market as well. Houses that have been sitting for some time, or more than 30 days, if they haven't had a price adjustment, there should be one. But the reason behind the price adjustment is to create competition. But as we talked about in the past, that a lot of time in today's market, buyers aren't necessarily taking a second look once a property gets a price reduction. If they pass by it the first time, they're not necessarily coming back around. So it's very interesting in that respect.
Huh. Okay. So, as far as a down payment, how much do I really need?
Another really, really good question. It's going to depend. So for the more you put down, the lower your monthly payment will be. For our VA friends, you can put $0 down. For USDA, you can put $0 down in certain areas. Then you might go into a 3%, 5%, 10%, 20% conventional type situation. And FHA is 3.5% down. So there's lots of different options. It just depends on which one is going to work best for that particular person. What I would suggest, if you're able, is to put down enough to avoid the property mortgage insurance. Mm-hmm. If that's not avoidable and you just don't have it, then I've seen people like conventional buyers get into homes with basically $0 out of their pocket. Based on seller concessions and pricing and that type of thing.
Great. So what's your advice to someone who is kind of on the fence about if it's a good time to buy for them?
I would look at motivation. What is the reason that you wanted to buy a home in the first place? Was it to now start to put down roots, to be more stable, a growing family? What is the driving force? I mean, I bought my first home at 23 years old, right? And I was sick of paying rent. I mean, I saw it going out every month, and I was getting nothing from it. And plus, I didn't like living on top of people or them on top of me. I wanted a place I could call my own and not have to worry about moving my stuff. I moved a lot growing up and in the military. So I think that if your circumstances allow it, and I would buy. I would always buy over rent, depending on how long I'm going to be in a particular area. If it's under 2 years, I might not buy. It's specific to that situation. But if I was going to buy in an area under 2 years, I want to look at the rental market. Can I hold this property for a long term and make it a rental and a cash flow property for me later on? That's always an option, right? If real estate's going to be part of your portfolio, your wealth building, then why not? Make sure before you buy that you're able to rent the property to somebody else. If you're not able to say, I see it happen with the military folks sometimes where they get PCS or change of station, and they're in a property and maybe the market changed and they can't sell it for what they bought it for, or they're going to break even. Well, then maybe in that situation it makes sense to rent the property. I think if you're going to be there much longer than 2 years, you're good. Mm-hmm. and most people move every 5 to 7 years. But an interesting statistic that I just came across was that 6% of the people that you sell a home to will sell in the same year. Who knew?
So if somebody wanted to work with you for their agent, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, you can always, drop us a note in under this platform, and we'll be happy to reach out to you. You can email us at paulmercer@kw.com, or you can give us a call at 813-530-5525. We'd be excited to help you walk through this journey of accomplishing your goal of owning a home, or if you have any real estate needs, we're happy to help.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.